Hi boys and girls, my name is Ashley Gardner and I'm the Director of Children's Ministries at MLEPC. I hope you guys are doing well. I miss you guys. I hope you've been having a great week. Our boys got to do something fun this week. We took them up to Lake Erie. I don't know if you guys have ever been there, but we went to Presque Isle and we haven't had a beach trip or anything this year because of COVID-19, and we got to actually go to the beach and play in the sand. It was actually a stormy day when we went, so they didn't get to go swim in the water, but it was just so nice to even get a little bit away and just to have some fun as a family. I hope you guys, in the midst of everything that's going on, are still able to be enjoying yourselves and having a good time with your family. I hope you're able to do a few special things before school goes back in a few weeks. I'm so glad that you're joining us today for Children's Church. We have been talking recently about the life of Jesus. We've been using a curriculum called the Gospel Project from Lifeway, and we've been talking about stories from Jesus's life. We started when Jesus was born. We talked about when he was dedicated, when he got lost at the temple. We talked about when he was baptized. We've done different stories that he's taught. We did different healings. Last week I taught you my favorite Bible story when I was a little kid. Do you remember what it was? It was when Jesus healed the girl who had died, Jairus' daughter, when he brought her back to life. I remember as a little kid just loving the story and the compassion that Jesus showed for her. We also learned about how Jairus' daughter wasn't the only one that Jesus healed. He also healed a woman who had been sick for 12 years on his way to go heal Jairus' daughter. So it was pretty incredible. So last week, 12-year healing plus the healing of a 12-year-old girl. This week, we're gonna learn about another one of Jesus's healings, but it was someone who was sick for a lot longer than that. The guy in today's story, he wasn't sick exactly, he was paralyzed. So to be paralyzed means that you cannot use your legs. Sometimes, depending on where people are paralyzed, they might not be able to use their arms as well, but for sure they cannot use their legs. Now, legs are really, really important. Think of how much in a day you use your legs. You use them to run, to play, to move around. You need your legs for that. And this man had not been able to use his legs. He was paralyzed for 38 years. That's a long time. I am 34 years old, so this man was paralyzed for longer than I have been alive. It was a long time. And back in Bible times, it would have been really hard to make a living, to get a job, to do anything other than beg for money if you were paralyzed. You really couldn't work. It was a big deal. Now, back in Bible times, there was a town called Bethesda. And in Bethesda, there was this very special pool. And in this pool, there would be a bunch of people that would gather there that were very sick. You would have people that were blind, people that were crippled, where they couldn't maybe use their limbs as well, people that were paralyzed, that they couldn't walk, people that had all sorts of different things wrong with them. They would gather at this pool, and what they thought would happen when the water every so often would get stirred. They would stir the water in this pool, and the first person to get into the pool would be healed. How cool is that? So people would wait around for this water to be stirred, wanting to be healed. Now, this paralyzed man, remember I said he was 38 years old. He had been sitting around this pool wanting to get healed. But I want you guys to think about if you've ever been in a race before, if you've ever done a competition. Say you were racing some of your classmates or a brother or sister, and you wanted to see who could get to the other end of the room or a field first. You run as fast as you can. What do you need to be able to run, to win a race? You need legs. You need to be able to use your legs and make them move really, really fast. So if to get healed, it was a race to see who could get in the pool fastest, who do you think is not going to ever win that race? The paralyzed man. No matter how long he sat at that pool, no matter how long he waited, he was not going to get healed because there was always going to be someone that would get in the pool faster than him. But he still waited. He wanted to be healed, but he couldn't. He couldn't do it on his own. There was nothing that he could do to get healed. So he was just waiting and waiting and waiting. And that is where today's story picks up. Who do you think comes in today's true story that changes everything? I bet you know. If you said Jesus, you are correct. Let's watch our video and see what happens to this paralyzed man. I hope you guys like it. Enjoy.
Hey friends, I'm Megan. And I'm Jessie. Jessie, how are your swimming lessons going?
Okay.
Just okay?
Yeah, I'm a little scared of the water. On the very first day when I was going down the stairs into the pool, another kid knocked me over and I fell in. I did not like that.
Oh goodness, I'm really sorry, Jessie. In today's Bible story, a man who was not able to walk was trying to get in a pool, but people kept going in front of him.
Oh no, I hope he didn't fall over like I did.
He didn't. Listen to the story to hear how Jesus helped the man. Jesus went to Jerusalem and stood by a pool called Bethesda. Many sick people were lying by the pool. Some could not see, others could not walk, and some were paralyzed. Jesus saw a man who could not walk. The man had been there a long time. Jesus asked him, "Do you want to get well?" The man answered, "Sir, I have no one to put me in the pool when the water is stirred up. Someone else always gets in before me." The man thought if he could get into the water, he would be able to walk again. Jesus said, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk."
Wow.
Right away, the man was healed. He picked up his mat and started to walk. This happened on the Sabbath, so the Jews told the man who was healed, "It is against the law to pick up your mat on the Sabbath." The man said, "The man who healed me told me to pick up my mat and walk." "Who was the man?" the Jews asked. But the man who was healed did not know who had healed him. By this time, Jesus had slipped away into the crowd. Later, Jesus found the healed man in the temple area. Jesus said to him, "See, you are healed. Now stop sinning so that something worse doesn't happen to you." The man went to tell the Jews that Jesus had healed him. So the Jews tried to stop Jesus because he was healing people on the Sabbath. Jesus told them, "My Father is always working, so I am working too." Now the Jews hated Jesus even more. Not only did he break their rule about not working on the Sabbath, he was saying that he is God's son. Jesus is God's son, and he always did what God said was right. The man at the pool needed help. Jesus healed him, and he obeyed Jesus. In a similar way, we are sinners who need Jesus' help. Jesus wants us to trust in him. Jesus can free us from sin so we can follow him and obey him.
Welcome back. I hope you guys liked the video. So this man, 38 years old, had been paralyzed, had been waiting at this pool to be healed, hadn't been healed yet, was never going to get healed. What changed? Jesus showed up and he saw this paralyzed man. How neat is it that Jesus even noticed him? This man was the one that was so sick, that was so injured, that he was never going to get healed, that no one even wanted to help him in the pool. But Jesus wants to help the weakest and the sick. No matter how long somebody has been sick for, no matter how much they've tried with other things, it's not too much for Jesus. Jesus sees us when we're at our worst, and Jesus is able to help. So he sees this man, and he goes up and he asks him a question that is a little bit strange. He asks the man, do you want to get what? Do you want to get well? Think about that. Does he want to get well? Does he want to live a life that he doesn't have to be sitting on the floor and begging for money? Sometimes I think we need to ask ourselves that. Do we want to get well? Is that what our heart's desire is? The man gives Jesus an excuse when Jesus asks that. He says, I have no one to help me into the pool, which is true. But Jesus is able to help him. He's not able to just help him into the pool. He is able to, on the spot, just like that, to heal him. So Jesus tells him to pick up his mat and walk. And right away, he's able to do it. He's instantly healed. The man who's been waiting for a healing, who it wasn't possible through Jesus, is able to be healed. Now, you would think after somebody was able to be healed, after 38 years was able to walk, that people would be excited, that they would be telling everyone, and look what an amazing miracle Jesus performed. But that's not how everyone felt. In the video, it talked about this healing took place on a certain day. What was that day? It was called the Sabbath. The Sabbath was something that actually God had created. It was when God created the world in 6 days. We say 7. He created everything that there was in 6 days, and then God rested on the 7th. And he told his people, the Israelites, that they were not supposed to work on the Sabbath day. And the Israelites took this very seriously. They made it that you could not do anything on the Sabbath, even carrying your mat, carrying this little thing that the paralyzed man would sit on. They would consider that work. So when the paralyzed man was healed, they started questioning him, saying, why are you carrying your mat on the Sabbath? And they got mad at him. And so the paralyzed man said that the person that healed him said to pick up your mat and walk. So he listened. They didn't like this answer. They didn't like, first of all, that he was carrying his mat. Second, they didn't like that somebody had healed him on the Sabbath. So they wanted to know right away who was breaking the rules. They wanted to get him in trouble. The paralyzed man didn't know who it was that had healed him. He knew he was healed, but he didn't know who had done it. He leaves, and Jesus comes and finds him. He knows that it was Jesus at that point. Jesus reveals himself to the paralyzed man. Jesus says something very interesting. He says that he healed him, but he tells the paralyzed man to stop sinning, to stop doing bad things before something worse happens to him. Jesus truly cared about this paralyzed man. He wanted him to be well, and not just in his legs. He wanted his whole body, his heart. He wanted to be well. And so he was telling him to basically follow God, to do what is right. Now the paralyzed man knows that Jesus is the one who healed him. So he goes and he tells the Pharisees this. He tells the temple leaders, and they are furious. They go and they start questioning Jesus of why he needed to heal on the Sabbath. And Jesus's response to them is his Father, who's his Father? God, never stops working, and neither does he. So through that, Jesus is admitting that he is the Son of God, that God is his Father. And the Pharisees are furious at this, absolutely furious. And so what they start doing at this point is they start coming up with a way to kill Jesus. They start trying to plan that out. Now, that sounds like it's a really bad thing. You never want somebody trying to plan to kill you. But this was all a part of God's bigger plan. Remember, the reason Jesus came, he did want to heal us, but he wanted to heal us from something so much greater than being paralyzed or being blind or having leprosy. He wanted to heal our hearts. He wanted to heal us from our sin. And remember, the punishment for sin, it talks about in the Bible, is death and separation from God. So what Jesus was going to do, since Jesus was perfect, he was God's son, he was going to take our punishment by dying in our place. So what the Pharisees started doing, it sounded really bad, but it was all a part of that bigger plan that God had from the beginning of time. It was starting to put that plan into motion that was actually going to be used for God's glory. And it was going to be through that we would be saved. So that we could be saved from so much more than sickness, from anything else. God was going to save our souls. He was going to save our hearts by dying for us on the cross. Remember that you have a God that loves you. You have a God that can heal. You have a God that can save when nothing else can. Just like that paralyzed man, there was nothing he could do to heal himself. God can heal, God can save when nothing else can. He couldn't heal himself, only Jesus could. We can't save ourselves. We can't save ourselves from our sin. Only Jesus can by what he did on the cross. I hope you guys enjoyed the message this week. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Make sure to be spending time in God's Word. Pray to him. He loves to hear from his children. And trust that he is a God that can save. Love you guys. Look forward to talking to you again soon. Have a wonderful week and God bless.